Hello. What was I about to say? Oh, yeah. So, our YouTube recommendations tossed to Dominic Noble and deciding what's the best character they left out of the Lord of the Rings movies, or not the whole trilogy, but just Fellowship of the Ring. What's the best character from Fellowship of the Ring that was left out of the movie? So we watched this video. It's a 30-minute video. It's a really good watch. He's very funny. He's very charming, and he's got it spot on. Like he chose the best one. Plus, he describes other characters, and then he's like, "But not that one. Let's talk about this." And then he describes that. He mentions at one point how the hobbits are always getting roofied, which is good for a laugh. And he's 1,000% right on what he chose. So it was like, cool, another channel. I want to explore this channel. And I've gone and I was like, which of these looks good? He does a Lost in adaptation is his thing, and he does one for the Hobbit movies for each of them. So I'm like, all right, we'll start with the first Hobbit movie, which I hate, and if he hates it, we'll probably be fine. And he was doing all right, except he got to the point where he says, he and his co-host, I can't, Kaluna, are talking about things that were added that hadn't been in the book. And he says the moon letters on the map were never showed up in the book, and that those were added by the filmmakers. And I was like, stop, done, I'm done with this, you suck.
Yeah, I mean,
you just were wrong about that thing, and I'm sure there's plenty of people in the comments to correct you, and I don't want to be one of them, but I was just like, I can't watch the rest now. I mean, I can, but not right now.
Yeah, you need a moment to recover emotionally and spiritually.
Yeah, that hurt. It hurt me. It hurt me to soul. Lots of people love Lord of the Rings without loving The Hobbit, and this is a thing I'm learning over the years as a Tolkien head, is that I adore The Hobbit. I always did. And there's people who don't remember it or found it too childish or think they remember it and don't. Like, no, the moon letters were legit, dude. They were absolutely canon. In fact, he might touch on that later because the moon letters were added, or in the movie they add the sun going down and the moonlight being the thing that shines on the keyhole, and it's like the map specifically says the setting sun. Like, it uses those words. You don't get to trade that in. That is bullshit. So, but I highly recommend. Not Tom Bombadil is, I think, the title.
He's right. It's not Tom Bombadil. I have a personal opinion of who it is.
Who do you think it is?
Farmer Maggot. I love him.
Yeah.
Farmer Maggot. Farmer Maggot's great.
It's so Farmer Maggot. He's like this little fucking guy looks up at a Nazgul on a horse and says, "Fuck off my land, dude." And then
I'll set the dogs on you.
Gold, and he says, you won't. I'll sick the dogs on you if you try.
So good. Man, did we?
And then to clinch the argument, in case you loved him but weren't sure how cool he was, then when we meet Tom Bombadil and Tom's like, oh, Farmer Maggot. Oh, yeah, he's a badass.
Right? Farmer Maggot's in and out of the Old Forest all the time. Like, knows Tom Bombadil really well.
He comes over for tea. He's wise. What is it? There's soil on his fingers or whatever his weird compliment is, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that we can all agree on this because I felt quite strongly about it.
As do I. And Dominic Noble is definitely a recommend. I love finding new YouTubers and watching them because I'm growing less and less enthralled by manufactured, I don't know. I didn't like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay,
okay. I haven't seen it. I have no bandwidth for new entertainment right now. I'm rewatching Leverage. That's the level that I'm at. So
things with big production budgets aren't necessarily my thing right now. I did love Stranger Things, but I'm exactly the right age for that type of nostalgia, so it works. And it was well made. But yeah, I guess I just prefer YouTubers.
I have a lot of YouTubers that I really enjoy, and it's much easier for me to like invest the emotion in like 20 minutes of Nerdy Crafter doing cash or trash than an hour of like needing to emotionally process a deep moving stuff. I'm like, don't move me.
No, yeah.
I would not like to be moved. Consider me Moss. And please tailor your entertainment of me to that level.
Abby and I bond by watching Mariah Elizabeth together.
Man, I watch her stuff to go to sleep. I just find it so soothing. Like I probably
take that as a compliment because she's wholesome. She's funny and wholesome and chill.
Oh yeah, no, I love her. Her videos are fun. Yeah, like you said, they're funny. There's no loud noises that'll wake me up if I'm trying to go to sleep. I've probably seen each of the Squishy makeovers like 16 times.
Oh, speaking of multiple viewings of videos, I found Pushing Up Roses a few months ago, actually. And if I'm having a stressful day when everyone goes to bed, I watch her do reviews of Murder, She Wrote episodes. I think she's got a dozen out. I think I've watched each of them 40 times. And I play I Love Hugh 2 over and over and listen to Pushing Up Roses synopsize Murder, She Wrote episodes, and it feels so good.
It's so, you just have to find those things. I do Mariah Elizabeth. I do Baumgartner Restoration. His voice is incredibly soothing. I like to watch
Jason scoffs at Baumgartner. He's like, "Oh, this guy again." Cha, and then he sits down and he's riveted.
The
only problem, and I know we've discussed this before, is that he keeps trying to change up his thing, and we're like, "No, we like your thing. Keep it just where it is." We want to watch the thing get clean. We want to know how you use the hot table this time. You don't need to get more creative unless you want to, but you don't need to. Not for us.
Oh, yeah, man. Like that's what I come here for. Same with my soap making videos that I watch. I'm like, I want to watch you mix the soap, pour the soap, tell me how you pick the embeds for the soap, tell me which glitter you're using on top of the soap and why it's eco-friendly and that's important, and then cut the soap and show me what the bars look like on the inside.
There's a reason why formulas work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially right now, this is something that I've talked about with a lot of people is, well, you know, the number of people that I talk to because it is like we're all emotionally processing a lot of new things, and entertainment is just not the time right now.
Right. I adored WandaVision, and I couldn't stand Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and without any spoilers, what it boiled down to. Don't at me, internet. I understand that this is going to sound very generalized. WandaVision is feminine pain processing, and Falcon and Winter Soldier is masculine pain processing. And I relate to complex, subtle, self-manipulative, getting into your own brain and figuring out what's going on a lot more than I relate to staring moodily into the middle distance, apologizing to people you've hurt, and being angry because responsibilities of blah, 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 blah.
I mean, I stare moodily into the middle distance while I get into the nuance of the...
There was no real nuance. It was a lot of punching.
No, I know, but you said you relate to the nuance from WandaVision and not to the staring moodily, and I'm like, I do both at the same time. That's why I'm non-binary.
Yes, and most people do have a lot of both in them, and a lot of people enjoyed both shows. But Jason got mad when he was like, "Why don't you want to watch this with me anymore?" And I was like, "There's too much man pain." He was like, that's insulting. I'm like,
Is it?
I apologized. He was hurt by it, so I apologized and I let it drop. But I'm like, it's man pain.
There's nothing wrong with men experiencing pain. It's just we see a lot of it in media.
We see a lot of it in media, and it's not something I relate to very well. And that's just me, no generalizations needed. I do not relate to that type of pain or that type of processing, and it wasn't interesting to me.
I felt that way about Arrow after a while. Everyone in Arrow is so
young and beautiful and have superpowers. Stop moping.
They all mope and they all take it so seriously, and I'm just like, guys,
right?
Could one of you crack a smile once? No. I have blah blah blah. I was on an island. Okay.
There's somewhere on the interwebs, there's Patton Oswalt in an interview saying, I'm a DC fan, always have been. Batman's the only one who broods. You can't have a broody Superman and a broody Aquaman and a broody Wonder Woman, and everyone's brooding now. That's why it's normal instead of tortured.
That's why I liked the first, keeping in mind that I've only seen like the first season of each of these, but I liked The Flash because people weren't brooding.
Yeah.
And I liked Legends of Tomorrow because only Arthur Darvill was brooding, and he was doing it in a really fun way.
I could watch Arthur Darvill wash dishes.
Oh man, if you haven't seen Legends of Tomorrow, you should check it out because he plays a character who is in every way different from Rory, but he does a really good job of being like charming and manipulative and kind of conniving and like
nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
And extremely competent, but also kind of a jerk. Like, so good. And it's got Captain Cold in it, who's my favorite character from The Flash. So,
I mean, confession time. Don't disown me. I haven't watched any DC media
that's fine.
This round, this last couple decades. Not since like Tim Burton's Batman. No, wait. I tell a lie. I did watch gritty one. Chris Nolan.
Yeah.
I watched Chris Nolan's Batman trilogy and I was like, I am so done with DC. And at this point, I've watched the Harley Quinn movies and that's it. No Wonder Woman, no nothing else.
I liked the first Wonder Woman. I haven't seen the second one because the implications of them stealing a dude's body to bang in freak me out.
Why did they do that? Why did they fucking do that? That's what everyone's asking. Like, that was not her wish. Did she, honest to God, wish that her dude would take over a body? Right. Why is that a rule?
A random body, like, not even anyone she knows. Like, they just, like, body snatched a coma victim.
It's like, not okay.
It's not okay at all. So, yeah, so I haven't seen that one, and I'm not going to.
No. Also, I like 80s nostalgia. Stranger Things has upped my standards, and I've seen enough clips from Wonder Woman 84 to know that they didn't do it right. They didn't do it right. They don't have the waist up high, the big hair, they're nothing. It's not...
Yeah. Well, they didn't do a lot of things right. Also, the racism. There's a lot wrong with it. So, the reason why I have watched the amounts of various things that I have watched is mostly when they've been on Netflix. But I enjoyed Legends of Tomorrow. Have I kind of told you the premise? Yeah. So I enjoyed it because it wasn't like the broody people. It was just all the people who were like, what am I doing here? What do you mean you've kidnapped me to travel through time?
Oh, man. Anyway. Dominic Noble, not Tom Bombadil. check out the video. It will make you feel good. And we should read.
We should.
We've got 20 minutes and a bit.
Indeed.
I've got donkey eggs to work on.
I've got a different copy of The Two Towers with much better cover art.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, we love you, John Howe. Oh, man. I had a teacher who had a John Howe poster on the wall, and I ended up getting to take it home when summer started. And I didn't realize it was a John Howe poster. It was just one of my favorite posters for years. And then when Lord of the Rings came out and I drew the connections, it was like, oh. The internet, I am working on a fresh Pizonki Boba Fett.
Ahem. Chapter VII, which I almost said 8, but that means 7.
That does.
Journey to the Crossroads. Frodo and Sam returned to their beds and lay there in silence, resting for a little, while men bestirred themselves and the business of the day began. After a while, water was brought to them, and then they were led to a table where food was set for 3. Faramir broke his fast with them. He had not slept since the battle on the day before, yet he did not look weary.
I think we made it a lot farther than this. We had the staffs. We had walked a ways. We were sleeping in a hornbeam or something.
Were we?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, clearly I was out of it last week.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. See? Okay. All right, let's see.
We were sleeping in a tree. I will find this spot once I remember where I put down the book. Oh,
wait. I think I'm...
Long ways to go, still south and east. Hobbits must make haste.
Hobbits must make haste. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's only like a page farther. All right. I thought we had finished out a chapter.
Read very quickly. It's because we don't read very quickly.
Look, no one comes here, and by no one I mean either of us. We don't come here for
Indeed.
All right.
Come for a long time, not a good time. No, wait.
Hey now. That day passed much as the day before had gone, except that the silence seemed deeper. The air grew heavy, and it began to be stifling under the trees. It felt as if thunder was brewing. Gollum often paused, sniffing the air, and then he would mutter to himself and urge them to greater speed. As the third stage of their day's march drew on and afternoon waned, the forest opened out, and the trees became larger and more scattered. Great ilexes of huge girth stood dark and solemn in wide glades, with here and there among them hoary ash trees, and giant oaks just putting out their brown-green buds. I know that an ilex is a type of tree, but I can't not picture an ibex, which is a type of antelope. Hang on, I'll pull up a picture.
Are they putting out blue-green buds?
I mean, I wouldn't think so. But
Mother Nature is wondrous that way.
Yes. Okay, here we go. So here's what I'm picturing. Whoop.
I can't see it.
Okay. Right there.
I only see you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you remember a children's book about a mountain goat whose horns grew so big he could ski on them? And he was teased, but then they ended up saving the day.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that? What was it?
I don't know. That's a good question that I don't have an answer
to. It wasn't
to.
Wallace Tripp and it wasn't Stephen Kellogg, but it was one of those author illustrators who was around and had a similar style. But
Did
that's
we
what
talk
those
about
things
this
are.
in a previous episode? I feel like I've
Yes,
talked about this to someone recently.
It may have been me because it's been troubling me for quite some time.
I think
Hey,
I
interwebs,
searched-
if you know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah,
What?
I have in my search history, Mountain Goat Invents Skiing Children's Book. We've definitely talked about this before.
Which means that we came up with the title. Yay!
Yes, Buford
I've
the
been
Little
so
Bighorn by Bill Peet.
Bill Pete. Yes. Okay. What was his name? Something the Little Big Porn?
Buford. Yes.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. So basically,
Anyway.
I'm picturing Buford
Yeah.
in Glades, just standing there with like buds on his horns.
Is that all the green? Think it's all the green.
Among them lay long lawns of green grass, dappled with celandine and anemones, white and blue, now folded for sleep. And there were acres populous with the leaves of woodland hyacinths. I'm sorry, I just keep hearing myself go, and anemones, and anemones, and anemones. I'm a baby. The woods of leaves of woodland hyacinths. Already, their sleek bell stems were pushing through the mold. No living creature, beast, or bird was to be seen, but in these open places Gollum grew afraid, and they walked now with caution, flitting from one long shadow to another. Light was fading fast when they came to the forest end. There they sat under an old gnarled oak that sent its roots twisting like snakes down a steep, crumbling bank. A deep, dim valley lay before them. On its further side, the woods gathered again, blue and gray under the sullen evening, and marched on southwards. To the right, the mountains of Gondor glowed, remote in the west, under a fire-flecked sky. To the left lay darkness, the towering walls of Mordor, and out of that darkness the long valley came, falling steeply in an ever-widening trough towards the Anduin.
Question.
Yes.
I would like to do more of these graphic Star Wars heads while I'm waiting for this to soak up dye.
Mm-hmm.
I've already done Vader and 3PO. What else would fit on a segment of an egg? Like at some point I'll do R2 and Yoda as whole eggs themselves, but not as, you know, you need a specific sort of shape to fit that.
The Death Star would be better as a whole egg to itself.
Yeah. In fact, I think Kit has an image of the Death Star as an egg. Trying to think if there's any good iconic Leia looks that we could use. Definitely Sausage Fest at this point.
I mean, the space buns are pretty iconic.
Very true.
It might be kind of fun to make those words abstract. There we go.
Right? Oh, wow. Someday, go Google Leia graphic art, because you end up with things like this.
Oh, was that the David Bowie one? It flashed and disappeared.
All right, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not what I'm after. Anyway, I'm feeling the Leia. You go ahead.
Cool. Yes. The valley was falling in an ever-widening trough towards the Anduin. At its bottom ran a hurrying stream. Frodo could hear its stony voice coming up through the silence. And beside it, on the hither side, a road went winding down like a pale ribbon, down into chill gray mists that no gleam of sunset touched. There it seemed to Frodo that he descried far off, floating as it were on a shadowy sea, the high dim tops and broken pinnacles of old towers forlorn and dark. He turned to Gollum. "Do you know where we are?" he said. "Yes, master, dangerous places. This is the road from the Tower of the Moon, Master, down to the ruined city by the shores of the river. The ruined city, yes, very nasty place, full of enemies. We shouldn't have taken the men's advice. Hobbits have come a long way out of the path. Must go east now, way up there. He waved his skinny arm towards the darkling mountains. We can't use this road, oh no. Cruel peoples come this way, down from the tower. Frodo looked down onto the road. At any rate, nothing was moving on it now. It appeared lonely and forsaken, running down to empty ruins in the mist. But there was an evil feeling in the air, as if things might indeed be passing up and down that eyes could not see. Frodo shuddered as he looked again at the distant pinnacles now dwindling into night, and the sound of the water seemed cold and cruel, the voice of Morgul Dúin, the polluted stream that flowed from the Valley of the Wraiths. What shall we do? He said. We have walked long and far. Shall we look for some place in the woods behind where we can lie hidden? No good hiding in the dark, said Gollum. It's in day that hobbits must hide now. Yes, in day. Oh, come, said Sam. We must rest a bit, even if we get up again in the middle of the night. There'll still be hours of dark then, time enough for you to take us a long march if you know the way. Gollum reluctantly agreed to this, and he turned back towards the trees, working eastward for a while along the straggling edges of the wood. He would not rest.
I'm feeling that I read this aloud 2 weeks ago.
I was too, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Sorry,
it's okay.
If
we can't remember, then it's fine.
Yeah. And I guess when we do like a 10-year anniversary edit of the whole thing, we can just clip out yours or mine.
I'm going to volunteer you to do the 10-year anniversary edit.
Thanks.
Hey, it was your idea. Don't worry about it. You got 10 years.
That's true. By that time, I'll be rich and famous and able to afford an editor.
Well, I'm just going to keep going because I didn't remember this.
You were that out of it.
I was pretty out of it. That week was pretty stressful.
Heavy. Yeah.
After some debate, they all because after some debate, they all climbed up into the crotch of a large holm oak, whose thick branches springing together from the trunk made a good hiding place and a fairly comfortable refuge.
At least I was right about the kind of tree. That's the sort of nerd I am.
I think you said hornbeam.
Damn it! Started with an H.
It did start with an H. And to be fair, I have no idea what a hornbeam is. So.
Or a holm oak.
True.
Ah.
Can I see? Ooh.
Yeah, let's see if we can get it to. Is it going to focus?
It's pretty focused. I can see everything.
Cool. Yeah, brown was for his viewfinder because I don't exactly have a gray. Do carry on.
Ah, yes. You said brown, and I was thinking Brown, your child, and I was like, what?
Oh my god, I watched Rosencrantz and Guildenstern with the kids the other day and realized that the Morgans are Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Oh my god, they are. They're also kind of Miguel and Tulio, if you've watched Road to El Dorado recently.
They are those things.
And kind of Statler and Waldorf. I mean, we've got there are a lot of literary duos.
And my Morgans definitely exemplify like the archetype.
Okay, let's see. Night fell and it grew altogether dark under the canopy of the tree. Frodo and Sam drank a little water and ate some bread and dried fruit, but Gollum at once curled up and went to sleep. The hobbits did not shut their eyes. It must have been a little after midnight when Gollum woke up. Suddenly they were aware of his pale eyes, unlidded, gleaming at them. He listened and sniffed, which seemed, as they had noticed before, his usual method of discovering the time of night.
Neat trick.
That kind of makes sense to me, actually. Like, different times of night do smell different.
They do, but how would he know that? He spent hundreds of years under a mountain. He's a quick study, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's many things, but he's not dumb.
Yeah.
Plus, he's been out from under the mountain for, like, what, 10, 15 years at this point.
Yeah, you're right. He totally has.
That's long enough to figure it out.
Time outdoors.
What?
And spent most of those 15 years outdoors.
Exactly. And some of it with elves who may have talked to him, although I doubt it.
They didn't. They were like, ew.
Excuse me? Like...
Oh, I got a new video out last night, so please watch it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where was I? Oh, yes, he determined the time of night by sniffing.
Yeah.
Are we rested? Have we had beautiful sleep? He said. Let's go. We aren't, and we haven't, growled Sam, but we'll go if we must.
Right.
That's me when anyone tries to wake me up in the morning.
Yeah.
Hello,
No.
Are we rested? No.
No. Go, you bastard. Go.
Gollum dropped at once from the branches of the tree onto all fours, and the hobbits followed more slowly. I'm just picturing him doing a superhero landing. As soon as they were down, they went on again, with Gollum leading, eastwards up the dark sloping land. They could see little, for the night was now so deep that they were hardly aware of the stems of trees before they stumbled against them. The road became more broken, and walking was more difficult, but Gollum seemed in no way troubled. He led them through thickets and wastes of brambles, sometimes round the lip of a deep cleft or dark pit, sometimes down into black bush-shrouded hollows and out again. But if ever they went a little downward, always the further slope was longer and steeper. They were climbing steadily. At their first halt, they looked back, and they could dimly perceive the roofs of the forest they had left behind, lying like a vast, dense shadow, a darker night under the dark, blank sky. There seemed to be a great blackness looming slowly out of the east, eating up the faint, blurred stars. Later,
the fucking darkness of Mordor is one of my favorite plot points in the book that is completely unfilmable.
Mm-hmm. Did we talk about the fan theory that Mordor is like literally toxic? Like the air and water actually contains like cyanide and shit, and that the hobbits survive because they're immune to poison?
No, I don't think we did.
So that the theory talks about the fact that they love mushrooms, and it never says what kind, and like lots of mushrooms are poisonous. So it was like, what if hobbits are just munching on poisonous mushrooms and smoking like hallucinogenic plants, and everyone else is like, what the hell are you doing? But it turns out they actually have like poison resistance, which is why they can survive in Mordor, and why everyone's like, you can't do that. It's literally poison. And they're like, well, the water tasted a little funny.
Better. Yeah.
Exactly.
The water didn't taste good, but water's water, man.
Anyway, I think that's kind of cool also, just as like one of those other things that is potentially special about hobbits that no one has noticed because no one pays attention to hobbits.
And because people don't like actively try to poison them ever. They're not important enough. But if anyone ever did try to assassinate a hobbit with poison, it'd suddenly be like, wait.
Well, and I think they whoever wrote it was talking about the hobbits like finding mushrooms on the way when they're with Aragorn and being like, yum, and he's like, no, what? And they're like, what are you talking about? We eat these all the time at home. You don't have to have any. We weren't going to give you any anyway.
It's mealtime, bitches.
And they're like red death cat mushrooms.
That's brilliant.
See. The Darkness of Mordor. Oh, yes. Eating up the faint-blurred stars. Later, the sinking moon escaped from the pursuing cloud, but it was ringed all about with a sickly yellow glare. At last, Gollum turned to the hobbits. "Day soon," he said. "Hobbits must hurry. Not safe to stay in the open in these places. Make haste." He quickened his pace, and they followed him warily. Soon they began to climb up onto a great hogback of land. For the most part, it was covered with a thick growth of gorse and whortleberry, and low, tough thorns, though here and there clearings opened, the scars of recent fires. The gorse bushes became more frequent as they got nearer the top. Very old and tall they were, gaunt and leggy below, but thick above, and already putting out yellow flowers that glimmered in the gloom and gave a faint, sweet scent. So tall were the spiny thickets that the hobbits could walk upright under them, passing through long, dry aisles, carpeted with a deep, prickly mold. On the further edge of this broad hillback, they stayed their march and crawled for hiding underneath a tangled knot of thorns. Their twisted boughs, stooping to the ground, were overridden by a clambering maze of old briars. Deep inside there was a hollow hall, raftered with dead branch and bramble, and roofed with the first leaves and shoots of spring. There they lay for a while, too tired yet to eat, and peering out through the holes in the covert, they watched for the slow growth of day. But no day came, only a dead brown twilight. In the east there was a dull red glare under the lowering cloud. It was not the red of dawn. Across the tumbled lands between, the mountains of the Efelduath frowned at them, black and shapeless below, where night lay thick, and did not pass away, above with jagged tops and edges outlined hard and menacing against the fiery glow. Away to their right, a great shoulder of the mountains stood out, dark and black amid the shadows, thrusting westward. "Which way do we go from here?" asked Frodo. "Is that the opening of the Morgul Valley, way over there beyond that black mass?" "Need we think about it yet?" said Sam. "Surely we're not going to move any more today, if day it is." Perhaps not," said Gollum. "But we must go soon to the crossroads." "Yes, to the crossroads. That's the way over there, yes, master." And that's the end of a section, so perfectly timed.
Woo! All right. That might be enough black. Would you like to see me wipe a section before we go?
Yes.
That was the final color. Apparently, Brown has found videos of someone just on TikTok, I suppose, who does Pizanki, and they rinse their eggs between colors so that they can go back to much lighter colors. I have never ever done that, but it's kind of brilliant and obvious now that I think about it.
Interesting. So they just like rinse off the extra dye, or?
Yep. Yeah. Just run some cool water over it. I tried it today. I need to break open these holes so that the air inside doesn't get nasty. Hang on, this candle is not up to the task. Do I have a better candle? Do I have a candle in this room that is, aha! That is this. My awesomest neighbor, Cornelia, had a lot of health issues and had to go move in with one of her adult daughters who could take her to, doctor's appointments and stuff. So she had to sell her house and she was having a yard sale. It was very sad, but I was like, I will totally contribute to this as best I can by coming over and buying stuff from the yard sale. And Cornelia had a lot of amazing stuff, just really cool knickknacks and things.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't really believe, like, half the stuff had stories like that was painted by my dead husband while we were on vacation in 1978, and half of them have stories like I found it at a thrift store and I liked it.
Sounds about right.
I just put out my candle. So that was funny to me. Like I kept expecting more of the first type of story, especially with all the stuff that I saw and liked. I wanted some of her story. If I was going to buy stuff, I wanted stories. But I kept liking things that were just like, nope, saw it at the Arc, thought it was cute.
I mean, that's sort of how I am with knickknacks also, is like, it's either I've had this since I was a child, it was painted by my grandmother, or like, yeah, it was on sale after Halloween.
Right.
Like, I have a fruit bowl that looks like a skeletal hand holding an eyeball. There's no deeper meaning. I'm just a goth. Oh, so cool. I like it.
What it's going to end up looking like when we get the rest of them all cleaned up. Yeah. I like that better. I know it's, you know, it was probably silly of me to spend an extra 4 hours to make this because this didn't please me.
I don't think that's silly. I mean, you're the person making it. It should make you happy.
Right?
If it doesn't make you happy, then
do it again better.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love you.
I love you too. I will see you next week.
Excellent. Cuidado.
Llamas.